All right, it is time to talk about your weekly workflow. So, in the years I've spent creating content for Instagram, there is one truth that never fails: consistency equals growth. In the months that I'm able to post on a consistent basis, for me, that's currently every other day in my feed and almost every day on stories, my follower count grows 5 times more than in the months I'm inconsistent. So if that doesn't convince you to start showing up for your audience on a more consistent basis, I don't know what will. Now, I know that consistency is a huge roadblock for most people. So if that is you, the good news might be that motivation probably isn't the issue. We always feel like we need to be more motivated, more motivated, more motivated, but then it doesn't actually work. So if it isn't motivation, what's the issue? And usually it's that when you have motivation, you are still running full speed into a wall of your own personal roadblock. It's mindset issues. So if that sounds familiar and you find you have trouble posting consistently, whether you're feeling motivated or not, I've got some journal prompts for you. So first, I want you to write down what will happen if you show up every day. If you're posting consistently, if you're showing up on stories, that's usually a big thing that holds people back. And then I want you to dive deeply into this. So I want you to write your answer, and then I want you to write and then, and write another answer, and then, and write another answer, and keep going around and round and round, and you will eventually find that you're getting to something that probably is the issue. You can do the same thing by asking yourself, what will happen if more people see or read what I have to share? And then I want you to ask yourself, what will really happen? Be super logical with this. You might even think about telling someone else who's having the same issue what is really going to happen. Logically, the trolls aren't going to come out of the woodwork. People aren't going to start leaving negative comments. You're not going to look like a total moron, and then nobody's going to show up. That's what my brain always comes to. So what is really going to happen? Often we unconsciously come up with all of these fears about what will happen if we're consistent, if we post more, if we show up on stories, if we're doing video. We think the trolls are going to show up, the haters, we're going to be judged, or people will find out that we really have no idea what we're doing, what we're talking about, and they will never hire us or buy our products. And because we're not really aware of it, we don't take the time to stop and deconstruct that thought process. So instead, we feel like we're not motivated or we don't have the time to do it, when really it's some sort of internal roadblock that is keeping us from moving forward. Once you've taken time with the inner work, the best way to be consistent is to have a process or a weekly workflow for when you create content, how you create content, and then scheduling everything in advance so that you can spend the rest of the week focused on interaction. So I'm going to walk you through my weekly workflow. I have this scheduled in Asana as a task every single Monday, and I use a post scheduler called Planoly to schedule my post for the entire week. And if you haven't used Planoly before, I'm going to include an extra training with this lesson to walk you through everything inside of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is jump into Planoly and organize my grid. I'm pretty good at adding photos in on a consistent basis. I try to do some editing on Monday and add new photos, and I also create my quote graphics on Monday as well, and I just drop them in. So I have a good stockpile. As you can see, the top photos here have a U. That means they're unscheduled, never been used. As we scroll down, you can see the S in the corner, and that is posts that have already been scheduled. If there's a little paper airplane, those are set up to auto post. And then if we scroll down further, you can see the ones that have the number of likes and the number of comments have already gone out. So the first thing I do is make sure that the upcoming posts are going to look nice in my feed. It's going to flow nicely. As you can see, I need another quote graphic, so I'm just going to pull this one down. And the other thing I like to do is make sure that I have pops of color that match my brand going through my feed. So as you can see, I've got a yellow shirt here, yellow here. I think there's another one. Yep, a yellow one down here. And then I've got white, white. I've got some red and orange. And this is going to help to make your feed look on brand, and it's going to flow a little bit nicer than if you just had all of the red shirts or all of the yellow shirts all packed together. So once I have my grid set up the way that I like, I will grab the next unscheduled post, drop it into my calendar, and then I just save. I make sure that the auto post is off and save it. Drop the next one in. Right now I'm posting every other day. I'm turning off the auto post because there's nothing in this caption yet. And save it. And like I said, I'm doing my planning on a Monday, so I would have the 25th, the 27th, and the 30th all set to go. So that on the 30th, I can then do the 2nd, 4th, and 7th. The next thing I would do is go into my Google Doc. I write all of my captions in a Google document because sometimes I repost them exactly as they are, and it is much easier for me to scroll through and find them in a Google Doc than it is to scroll through my Instagram feed and find them. So we're going in here, and let's say I'm starting with the 15th, and that is me outside looking cute on a Sunday. So in my Google Doc, I would just write September 15th. I put a little description of what that graphic or the quote image is about, and then I write my caption in here. So I would do that for the next couple of days. September 17th is talking about getting pissed off, so you finally step it up. And we can put in one more. The 19th is just me with a coffee mug. So I can essentially write anything I want to go with that post. And then the next thing I'll do is right in here in this document, I will write out my captions. Now I have an Evernote file, which I will show you, that is divided into sections, and that is where I keep all of my ideas. So the final captions end up in here, and all of my ideas, my brainstorming, goes into the Evernote file. So let's look at that. So in this file, I have it separated by my products. You might separate it by your post types. This works best for me because I know that if I talk about a specific topic, I can lead that into a product. So I talk about confidence, accountability, and mindset. A million ideas in here. This has been going for a long time. Here I have one for productivity. This leads into the Productive Solopreneur course, and then I have a freebie that I can also promote anytime I am talking about being productive. So I'll just grab an idea from my Evernote file and drop it into my Google Docs. Now I do like having this outline here so that I can see when I've been pitching my products, when I've been teaching, when I've been sharing my own personal story. So if you scroll through, you can see I've got a story here. I've got a pitch. I'm pitching the IG caption guide, a productive solopreneur pitch. So once I know what the post is going to be about, I can change this to say teaching, pitching, aspirational, and then I have a good idea of how often I'm doing those things and making sure that I'm rotating through the post types. And then my next step is going to be copying the caption, going back into Planoly. This goes into the 15th. I would paste it in here. It's already in there, ready to go. Then I would schedule it, set it to auto post, and save. So in order to stay on top of this, like I said, it is a weekly task in my Asana calendar. It's repeating on its own. I don't have to think about it. I just know that Monday I need to usually do 3 to 5 Instagram posts and schedule them in Planoly. Now, you might be wondering, should I be posting every other day as well? And the answer is, you're gonna have to experiment. Some accounts get away with posting 4 or 5 times every single day, and some people get away with posting once a week or every other week. I don't recommend going to either extreme. I know for most people, especially if you haven't been posting consistently before, starting with something like 2 or 3 times a week is a little bit easier to get in the habit. And then you just want to check on your stats. Look at website clicks, look at shares, saves, DMs, comments, likes, and I feel like Instagram is starting to not really care about those anymore, but any sort of meaningful interaction with your audience, or of course, clicks to your websites, sales, you know that that frequency of posting is working for you. Do not be afraid to experiment, adjust, post a little more, post a little less, check on your stats, and then do whatever is working best for you to continuously create high quality content and what is working best for your audience. And lastly, one more little tip that is going to make your life so much easier. You can use Instagram to start creating content for your email list and your blog, and you can also use it to test content. So if something works really well on my Instagram, if I'm getting lots of comments, if I'm getting lots of shares, I know that this would be great to send to my entire email list or post it on my blog. Often I do all three. Sometimes I post it the day before, sometimes the day after, sometimes it's a week after. Unless it's related to a launch or something that's time sensitive, do not worry about posting things on specific dates as it relates to when it goes on your Instagram versus your blog or your email list, or maybe you have a podcast or YouTube videos. Remember that not everyone is following you everywhere, and they will really appreciate that you are showing up in multiple places for them. I have people that say, I saw your Instagram post this morning, I read it, I loved it, then your email came in with the exact same info and I read it and loved it again. So don't worry about annoying people. They are really gonna appreciate hearing from you more. Okay, like I said, there is a Planoly training if you haven't used that platform before. And once you've got an idea of how to do your weekly workflow and you have your brainstorm document set up, you can jump into the next lesson.